Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Dead City video. So here is my review for episode 3 of Dead City. And I just have to say, like, I know this is going to seem really kind of outlandish to say, but that was my favorite Walking Dead episode I've watched in years. And I'm even including the final episode in that. Like, I guess what I mean more by that is that this episode really felt like classic Walking Dead, which, you know, the show hasn't felt like that in a while. Or not, I shouldn't say the show, but the franchise hasn't felt like that in a very long time. Even looking at, like, you know, Tales of the Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, World Beyond, it just hasn't felt like classic Walking Dead, like the way the Walking Dead used to feel in seasons 2, 3, and 4. Season 5 was definitely a really good season, but you can tell that it did start to sort of stray away from like what the classic Walking Dead story was. And what I really mean by that is you just kind of look at the ending to this episode and you just have that music playing. You have some dark moments. You have those little flashback moments. Like, this really felt like an episode that would have been a part of like season 4 of The Walking Dead, to be honest. Like, I'm thinking of those flashbacks with Herschel and Rick when we saw them talking about stuff. You know, we saw Negan and Ginny talking about some stuff, and there were some really important lessons there that were learned, and they really, you know, it honestly mattered so much to the story of the episode. I think it really worked so well with how dark this episode got, with just the little moments throughout. Like, this is how you do storytelling. This is exactly what The Walking Dead has been missing for many years. And I'm going, like, literally going all the way back to season 3 and 4. I didn't think we'd ever return to stuff like this, you know, with The Walking Dead. Like, just the song at the end when Negan obviously had that really crazy scene at the end, and just the music in general at the end there, it just really took me back to even like season 3, I think it was, or season 3 or 4, one of those seasons where Rick's in the car and the song Lead Me Home or whatever is playing. Like, it really just kind of felt like a moment like that. And that's what I mean by this is my favorite Walking Dead episode I've watched in many years. I'm not saying it's necessarily the best episode or the most hyped and the most exciting, but just personally for me, it really, I enjoyed it so much. It felt like how The Walking Dead used to feel. And I haven't felt that in a very long time. And yeah, I just absolutely love this episode. Definitely my favorite episode of the season so far. So let's actually talk about the episode. Let's talk about all the individual moments that happened here. So before we go any further, obviously, please be aware that this video will contain spoilers for The Walking Dead Dead City. Episode 3, I guess I should clarify. And also make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. Now, this episode begins with Negan and Ginny. We see Negan just sort of frustrated that she won't talk, and it's one of those things where he's just trying to help her out. Obviously, he's not just like frustrated for the sake of being frustrated. He's just really caring about how she could survive, and, you know, is she able to take care of herself? Because if she doesn't talk, if she's not able to tell him that she's in trouble or what have you, you know, it's definitely going to cause a lot of issues. And we see a lot of that play out here. And obviously at the end of the episode, after everything happened here, we do see Negan teach Ginny that, you know, it's all right if you don't want to talk. You know, like, talk is cheap anyways. It's more about what you do. And he then taught her the whistle that Lucille used to do, which I thought was kind of cool. And again, I really like the use of the flashbacks here. Like, in this series in general, the flashbacks I think are done so well. Like, it's always these small moments that really do matter to the story. And this is the stuff that I really wanted with flashbacks. Like, I don't really necessarily want a flashback episode. I feel like that's kind of a lot. And The Walking Dead did that a lot. Like, especially in season 10, we got a whole alpha and beta backstory episode, which I guess was all right. Like, I did enjoy the episode, but I really feel like just giving us stuff like this, little scenes like this, I think worked the best. So I love these scenes in this episode. I think it did such an amazing job really explaining who Negan is as a person, and man, we learned so much stuff here about his family, but we'll talk about that in a second. We do see Ginny arrive to New York, and then she sails across in like this bucket of some kind, and then yeah, eventually ends up in New York. The first thing I thought about, honestly, as soon as she went in that bucket and was just sort of like going across the water, was like, I think people are going to have some issues with this. Like, people are having so many issues with the whole Daryl thing. The first thing I thought was like, someone's going to point something out here. Like, someone is going to be like, that makes no sense, this and that, this would happen, whatever. And to me, I'm like, yeah, I get it. There's currents, this and that. But I don't know, you look at just the distance and like, I think it's fine. Like, she made it across. It works. We also do see a CGI deer, which I actually thought was kind kind of funny. Like, you could tell that it was CGI. It didn't look that bad. I'll say it didn't look that bad, definitely, but you could also tell that it was CGI. So there's that. I love that line that Negan says in the episode. He says the parade's looking a little rough this year, and referencing the walkers and stuff following that vehicle with the music, because the Croat uses that to keep walkers all around the arena, obviously as like a source of protection, I guess, for his main base. And yeah, I just love that line. This scene in general, I mean, the episode in general, honestly, when you really focus on the actual plot, and that's the thing too, like, if you actually focus on the main plot of everything here, not a lot actually happens. Like, they don't actually go to the arena. I thought they were going to the arena because there were some shots of some stuff happening, but no, I guess they were just hunting down that deer. But they did so much with the characters, that they told so much, they explained so much stuff here, that it really just made everything so exciting. And I think it was the perfect downtime episode. And honestly, it worked really well because it's my favorite episode of the season so far. Negan does talk about the hammer, or he kind of just says, like, you know, that this one guy, like 12, 15 years ago or whatever, he learned to, you know, basically control people, do this and that, and made everyone just sort of fall in line until eventually they were like, you know, I've had enough of this. You know, they picked up the hammer and they started to fight back. And then Maggie at one point says it worked. And then Negan just kind of laughs and says, oh yeah, it did work. Right. So I love that. I love that backstory there. It is pretty crazy to think of how many years it's been. Like, he does say 12 to 15 years. I think it's more closer to 15 years now. Like, it's been a very, very long time for sure. Like, it's been at least, I mean, I guess the Saviors showed up. Well, actually, it doesn't even matter when the Saviors showed up to, you know, or in Alexandria and stuff, because obviously Negan formed the Saviors way before that. So yeah, it's been that long. It's honestly been that long. Luther in this episode, I really, first of all, I love this character. I even mentioned in episode 2, I thought he was so cool. And of course, this episode had to happen. But that's what I mean. This is what I've always talked about. Like, I've talked about this for many, many years now. Like, this is what you want to do with characters like this. Like, Luther to me is a pretty memorable character. Like, he's a pretty well-written character, and honestly, like, he served the story so well. This is what you need to do with a lot of the side characters. You need them to matter a lot more, and it's the way you tell the story. It really is the way you tell the story. You need really good writers. I mean, just go back to season 2 with Randall. Like, he really was a nothing character, but just the performance that the actor put on, and the writing and stuff, and how much it mattered in the overall story here, it just elevated everything so much, right? And you even just think of like those guys that Rick ran into in the bar, like, they were literally nothing, but like, the scene is just so iconic. The writing was so well done there that it just became a scene that everyone always references now. Like, I hear it's nice in Nebraska or whatever, right? It was just such a well-written scene. I love that scene a lot. And Luther has a scene like that here with Negan that I think definitely will hold up for years to come now. And Luther really does come at Maggie hard in this episode. And that's one of those things that, you know, I really do like in terms of the story. Like, he just says to her, like your son's already dead. And I just love the debating in the scene. You know, to me, it was just very classic Walking Dead. The Croat actually mentions that, you know, the most abundant natural resource is death, and the sewers are full of death, which was kind of a nice reference because obviously Maggie and Negan are going to be going into the sewers, or at least I know Maggie is for sure. So I'm excited for that. But yeah, on the Croat, you know, the people are a resource stuff. I thought it was really cool. Obviously, the title of this episode is that, and it is related to something that the Saviors believed in. And the Croat does call this place a sanctuary. So it's very, very savior focused. And I really do like that. The Marshal is also really separate from everything. And I do wonder whose side he's going to be on. It does seem like, at least at the end, that he might be on the Croat side, but we'll have to wait and see. We got a really amazing scene here. We actually see that, first of all, we see some old photos. We see Herschel. We see a drawing of Glenn. That was just amazing to see. That was so nostalgic. And yeah, we learned that Maggie and Herschel had a fight, and that was the last time they really ever talked. And so obviously that does hurt Maggie quite a bit. And she's actually opening up to Negan in this scene, which I thought was kind of interesting. Like, that's the one thing with Maggie I think she is still struggling with. Like, she sees this stuff. She sees like how bad he is as a well, I don't even want to say bad, but like, she can see that there is like this monstrous side to him where, I mean, obviously at the end of episode 2, he just killed that person in that way. He just really enjoyed it, right? And so Maggie sees that, but then at the end of this episode, or I guess not at the end, but halfway through, she's sort of opening up to him. So there is that side to him there. And we also do learn what happened to Annie and Joshua, and we learned that he actually did have a child named Joshua, and he was still with Annie, and so Annie and Joshua are actually, I guess, still alive. He just sent them to Missouri because Annie got attacked by people, and obviously Negan, when he found out about that, he just got really enraged and he went and killed those people. And so that's why he's wanted right now. It's honestly, it's so insane. Like that just like, I just look at it in terms of how much that matters to the story. And when they first introduced Negan as this wanted man, because obviously you can just come up with any reason like, oh, he just killed these people or whatever. Now we learn that it's because he was defending his wife, and I love that. Everything matters here. Like every little thing has been thought through, and I really do like it. There's no filler at all in this show. The dinner they had, I really love that scene. You know, they were humming, and then obviously it would cut to shots of the Croat just kind of saying like Doma Smo, which I believe is Croatian for like we are home or something like that. So that was kind of cool. Like that was a nice moment in this episode. The Marshal had to kill a walker, and the same guy that the Croat killed before, I guess he made him swallow a key, and the Marshal remembered that and was smart enough to take it out of that walker, or I guess that guy's stomach. And like that was just insane. Again, I love the writing in this show. Maggie actually sees the dinosaur stuffy that Ginny had, and so in that sense now she's kind of concerned because she's like, well, if she has that, maybe something happened to Ginny, you know? And so now obviously she has that dinosaur. So I wonder what's going to happen in episode 4 when Maggie, I mean, I don't know, is she going to give that dinosaur to Negan? What's going to happen there? I'm actually really interested, especially when you actually take into account what happened with Negan and Luther. How is that group going to react? Like, I don't think they're going to like the fact that he actually killed Luther. Right. So like there's a lot of drama here. I also have to mention this, and I might do a video on it. Or actually not might, I will do a video on it. And did the Croat's family die by the termites? Because he mentions in this episode that, you know, he had a family, and when he returned, his family was a meal for another family. And when I heard that, I was like, wait, so they were cannibals? Like, is it possible that was connected in some way to the termites? I don't know, because the locations could be a little off, but that was, I thought, really interesting. Maybe he was just referencing walkers in general, but I just, yeah, when I heard that, I was like, yeah, I have to make a note of that, because like, is that possible? Also, I apologize if you can hear the raining, because it's starting to rain like crazy right now, and I do have to record, so I should be able to get rid of it. But if you can hear raining and stuff, yeah, it's raining outside right now. But anyways, the Croat actually does learn that Negan is on the island, so I thought that was such an interesting scene, and obviously we don't really get to see much reaction after that. So I'm excited for episode 4 to just see more of his thoughts on that. Like, I just want to know, like, what is he planning? What is he thinking now? Because I thought he sort of knew the entire time, but no, he was shocked by that. He was like, wait, what? He's actually here? But then we get a very iconic scene, and again, I say iconic because it honestly is like, that's really honestly kind of insane. Like, Negan has had 2 scenes now where I really think people are going to be talking about this for a while, because I still think about the ending of episode 2 when he killed that guy. Like, to me, that was such an insane scene. And then here he kills Luther. And again, I was just not expecting it. But the second he pulled out that paper and it said he's a wanted man, and just knowing who Luther was, or who they portrayed him as in this episode, I was like, he's not backing down from this. There's no way. And Negan, you know, if he's going to get out of this at all, like it basically, it was going to turn out the way that it turned out. And you felt the tension immediately. You just felt like, oh, this is going to get bad. Like, this is just, oh. And of course, I mentioned in episode 2 that I really liked the character of Luther, and then they just kill him off like that. So apparently I jinxed it. I don't know. So if I say in another episode that I really like this character, they're probably going to die in the next episode. But really crazy scene. He uses the grater or whatever on his forehead. I cringed so hard when I saw that. And I mean, in a good way. I'm not saying that it was like a bad scene or anything. Like, I was so shocked. Like, that was insane. I didn't think he was going to do that. And like, when you actually look at the scene starts off with him actually picking up the grater. So like, he obviously had it on him. So I really like that. Like, it's not like he just kind of grabbed it randomly. He was already holding it. So that was kind of cool. Ginny actually sees Maggie with the dinosaur at the end. And yeah, I have no idea what that's going to mean there. I mean, honestly, if Ginny just went to go talk to Maggie, like in general, Ginny is going to be safe, but maybe she doesn't trust her, right? So that's yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens there, because Ginny is very close and Negan is also there, so like, she should be fine. But yeah, we'll have to see where that goes in episode 4. But again, during all of this stuff here, during the ending scene, we have this music playing, and it just really felt like classic Walking Dead. This episode, when you're really looking at all of it, not a lot happened, but so much happened, right? And that's what The Walking Dead used to be like back then in season 2, 3, and 4. Like, not a lot would happen. They wouldn't really move from this place to this place. They were still sort of in that same part of the story where they were trying to get this one thing done. but so much also still happened, right? Like there was still so much character development there, and it was interesting and fun to watch. And that's why I love this episode, and that's why to me, I say this episode felt like classic Walking Dead. And so far this series has just felt like a true return to form for The Walking Dead. And I'm not even saying like it's good just like season 9. Like I feel like this show is better than season 9. This is going back to season 3 and 4. Like I didn't think The Walking Dead could get this good again. And I didn't realize how much I missed certain qualities about it. Cause like when you watch older episodes of The Walking Dead, you just, there's just something about the storytelling, even though it's slower, you just really like living with the characters and just kind of seeing how they survive and just, you know, them learning stuff about other characters, running into random people, and just getting these really cool scenes. And that's exactly what we're getting here in Dead City. And that's what's been lacking from The Walking Dead for a while. Because even in season 11, even in season 10, even season 9, like I know I praise season 9 so much, but a lot of this was lacking there. And again, I really feel like it's because of the cast. I think that's actually a big part of it. The cast got way too big. You had to focus on way too many characters, and there were so many locations. The Walking Dead is very good when it's very small scale. It focuses on a couple of characters in a certain location. And that's exactly what we're getting here. Because back in season 2, 3, and 4, it was just that group. And, you know, to quote what Daryl said, or actually I'm not even going to quote, but paraphrase, that group back then could really do anything. Like we just kind of, we were all together kind of thing. And I'm enjoying Dead City so much. I'm so excited for episode 4. I absolutely love this episode. So definitely post your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.